Good evening, everyone. Have you ever wondered why some people leave a mark on your heart so profound that their absence feels like a void? Why is it that a man can go about his day seemingly unaffected until one moment, a memory, a thought, a feeling, suddenly pulls him back into longing? A man misses you like crazy when he discovers something deeper, something irreplaceable. Let me explain. Emotional imprints last forever. Science tells us that memories tied to strong emotions are etched deeply in the brain. Think about the moments you shared: laughter, vulnerability, connection. Those moments are not just memories, they are emotional imprints. And when you're no longer there, those imprints replay like a song he can't turn off. It's not just about what you did, it's about how you made him feel. Presence becomes priceless in its absence. Here's the paradox of life. We often don't realize the value of someone's presence until it's gone. When a man discovers the unique energy you brought into his life, the way you filled the space with your essence, he begins to notice the emptiness. It's not the grand gestures he misses, it's the quiet moments, the way you listened, the way you saw him in a way no one else did. Unique connections cannot be replaced. In a world full of fleeting relationships, true connection is rare. A man misses you like crazy when he realizes that what you had wasn't just convenient. It was meaningful. It was a bond that resonated on a level deeper than words, something that touched his soul. And when he tries to replicate it elsewhere, he finds that it simply can't be done. Self-reflection leads to clarity. Sometimes it takes solitude for a man to understand what he's lost. In the quiet moments, when there's no one else to distract him, he begins to see the truth. It's in these moments of reflection that he realizes how much he took for granted and how deeply your presence shaped his life. Unmet needs create longing. When someone fulfills a need, whether it's emotional support, encouragement, or simply being a safe place, it creates a connection. And when that need goes unmet, it leaves a gap. A man misses you like crazy when he realizes that no one else can fill that gap the way you did. The science of longing. Let's talk about the brain. When we form deep bonds, our brains release chemicals like dopamine and oxytocin, what we often call the love hormones. These chemicals create a sense of attachment and pleasure. When that bond is disrupted, the brain craves that connection like it craves a drug. It's not just emotional, it's biological. So why does a man miss you like crazy? Because you weren't just a part of his life, you were a part of his soul. And when he discovers that, it's not just a memory, it's a realization that shakes him to his core. But here's the most important part: never diminish your value. The kind of connection that leaves someone longing for you is not something you chase or beg for, it's something you embody. You are the irreplaceable element, the unique energy, the presence that leaves a lasting imprint. And when he discovers that, that's when he realizes what he's truly missing. Science tells us that memories tied to strong emotions leave a lasting mark on the brain. These moments become more than just fleeting experiences. They are etched into our very being. Think about it. When you share a moment of joy, vulnerability, or even struggle with someone, it doesn't just exist in that instant. It becomes a part of your story, a thread woven into the fabric of your relationship. For a man, these emotional imprints are profound because they represent more than just what happened. They represent how he felt in your presence. Maybe it was the way your laughter lit up a room, or the way you truly listened when he spoke about his dreams or fears. Perhaps it was the comfort of your touch, the warmth of your encouragement, or the way you made even ordinary days feel extraordinary. These moments are not easily replaced. The brain holds on to them, replaying them like a favorite movie, especially when they're tied to feelings of love, safety, or belonging. And when you're no longer there, those memories don't fade. They amplify. The contrast between what was and what is now becomes sharper, and the longing for what he once had grows. It's not about the grand gestures or the big milestones. It's the small, everyday moments that leave the deepest marks. The quiet conversations, the shared glances, the times when you were simply there, being your authentic self. These are the things that create emotional imprints. And when those moments are gone, they leave behind an emptiness that's hard to ignore. A man misses you like crazy when he discovers that these imprints aren't just memories. They're pieces of his identity. They are reminders of a connection that touched his heart and changed his life. And it's that realization that keeps you on his mind, even when he tries to move forward. We often take for granted the things we have until they're no longer there, and this truth is especially profound when it comes to the people in our lives. Presence has a unique energy, a power that is felt but often goes unnoticed in the moment. It's a way someone fills a space, not just physically but emotionally and spiritually. When you're around someone who truly matters, their presence becomes a part of your world, an anchor that provides comfort, stability, and even inspiration. For a man, the realization of this value often comes in the absence of it. When you're no longer there, small, insignificant things suddenly take on a much greater meaning. It's not just the big moments he misses, it's the way you made him feel in the quiet, everyday instances. The sound of your voice, the warmth of your smile, the way your energy lifted the room. All of these things create a sense of belonging that's hard to articulate, but impossible to ignore once it's gone. Absence has a way of amplifying what was once taken for granted. It forces reflection, bringing to light the subtleties of your presence that he may not have noticed before. He begins to realize that it wasn't just what you did for him or how you fit into his life. It was the essence of who you were, the way you made him feel seen, understood, and valued. And here's the paradox. Presence is often most deeply appreciated in its absence. It's in the void that he feels the weight of what he's lost. The routines that once seemed ordinary now feel incomplete. The spaces you once filled seem quieter, emptier. And in that emptiness, he begins to understand the depth of your impact. This is why presence is so powerful. It's not just about being there. It's about the connection, the energy, and the authenticity you bring. It's about the way you make someone feel whole, even in the simplest moments. When a man discovers this, when he truly understands the value of your presence, it leaves an indelible mark on his heart. And that's when he begins to miss you, not just as a person, but as a part of his very existence. In a world filled with countless interactions and fleeting relationships, a truly unique connection stands apart like a rare gem. It's not something that happens every day, and it's not something that can be manufactured. A unique connection is special because it transcends the surface-level exchanges most people settle for. It's deeper, richer, and more meaningful. It's the kind of bond that makes someone feel truly seen and understood in a way they never have before. For a man, this type of connection is transformative. It's not just about shared interests or compatible personalities. It's about how you make him feel on a level he may not even fully understand. Perhaps it's the way you bring out a side of him that no one else can, the way you challenge him, inspire him, or give him the courage to be vulnerable. It's the feeling that, with you, he can be his authentic self without fear of judgment. This kind of bond creates a sense of belonging that's irreplaceable. It's not just about being together, it's about the way your energy complements his, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. A unique connection is powerful because it resonates deeply. It's not just in his mind, it's in his heart, his spirit, and even his body. When that connection is no longer present, its absence is felt profoundly. He may try to fill the void with distractions or even other relationships, but a truly unique connection cannot be replicated. It's not just about the moments you shared, it's about the way you made him feel in those moments, the way you understood him in a way no one else could, the way your presence made his world feel brighter and more complete. This realization often comes with time and reflection. At first, he may not fully grasp what made your connection so special, but as he encounters others who don't quite measure up, as he searches for that same spark and comes up empty, he begins to understand. He discovers that what you had wasn't just rare, it was one of a kind. A unique connection is powerful because it leaves an imprint that doesn't fade. It's a reminder of what's possible when two people truly align, not just on the surface, but on a soul-deep level. And when a man discovers the depth of that connection, it's something he'll miss with an intensity that's hard to put into words. Let me know if this resonates with the tone and depth you're aiming for. Self-reflection is a powerful force, often revealing truths that are hidden in the noise of daily life. For a man, it's in the quiet moments, when the world slows down and distractions fade away, that he begins to truly understand the depth of what he's lost. Without the constant activity to keep his mind occupied, he's left with his thoughts. And it's there, in that stillness, that clarity begins to emerge. When someone has been a meaningful part of his life, their absence creates a space that cannot be ignored. At first, he might dismiss it as temporary discomfort, a fleeting feeling he assumes will pass. But as time goes on, he begins to realize that the gap is deeper than he expected. It's not just about missing your presence. It's about the way your presence shaped his sense of self. Self-reflection forces him to confront questions he might have avoided. Why do I feel this way? What was it about her that made such an impact? What am I really missing? And as he digs deeper, the answers become clearer. He begins to recognize that it wasn't just the moments you shared, but the way those moments made him feel alive, understood, and connected. This process is not always easy. Reflection often brings with it a sense of regret for the things he didn't say, the actions he didn't take, or the ways he may have taken your presence for granted. It's in these moments of honesty with himself that he begins to see the full picture, the value of what he had, the uniqueness of your bond, and the irreplaceable role you played in his life. Self-reflection also has a way of stripping away illusions. In the hustle of life, it's easy to convince oneself that everything is fine, that moving on is simple, that what's lost can be replaced. But reflection has a way of cutting through those defenses, revealing the truth beneath. And when that truth is the realization of your importance, it hits him with a weight that's impossible to ignore. This is why self-reflection is so pivotal. It's not just about recognizing the loss, it's about understanding its depth and significance. It's about seeing the ways you changed his life, the parts of himself that were better because of you, and the void that now exists in your absence. When a man goes through this process, he doesn't just miss you, he begins to fully grasp why he misses you. And that realization stays with him. Human relationships are deeply tied to our emotional and psychological needs. Whether we realize it or not, we gravitate toward people who fulfill something within us, who provide comfort, understanding, validation, or even challenge us to grow. When these needs are met, it creates a sense of balance and harmony. But when someone who once fulfilled those needs is no longer present, it leaves a void that's impossible to ignore. For a man, this realization often comes gradually. At first, he might not fully understand why he feels unsettled or why certain parts of his life feel incomplete, but as time goes on, the absence of what you provided becomes clearer. Maybe it was the way you supported him when he felt uncertain, the way you believed in him when he doubted himself, or the way your presence offered a sense of calm in the chaos. These are not superficial things. They are the foundation of emotional connection. Unmet needs have a way of amplifying longing. They create a sense of restlessness, a search for something to fill the gap. He may try to distract himself, burying the feeling under work, hobbies, or even other relationships. But when the need is tied to something unique that only you provided, those efforts fall short. It's not just about missing you, it's about missing the way you made him feel whole, seen, and understood in a way no one else could. This is because the connection wasn't just about companionship, it was about the deeper emotional and psychological fulfillment you brought into his life. You were the person who could calm his fears, inspire his dreams, or simply make him feel like he was enough. And when those needs go unmet, it creates a longing that lingers, a reminder of what he had and what he's now missing. Unmet needs also have a way of sparking reflection. In their absence, he begins to understand the true value of what you brought into his life. It's not just the big gestures or the moments of excitement. It's the everyday ways you filled spaces he didn't even know were empty. It's the way your presence made him feel connected to something larger than himself. When a man discovers that his unmet needs are tied to your absence, it's a powerful realization. It's not something he can easily replace or forget. It stays with him, a quiet reminder of what he once had and the depth of its impact on his life. Longing isn't just an emotional experience. It's deeply rooted in the biology of the human brain. When we form a meaningful bond with someone, our brain undergoes profound changes. Chemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin flood our system, creating feelings of happiness, connection, and security. These neurochemical responses are the foundation of attachment, making relationships not just a matter of the heart, but a deeply ingrained part of our biology. When that connection is disrupted, when someone who played a significant role in our emotional world is no longer present, the brain reacts as if it has lost something vital. Dopamine, often referred to as the reward chemical, is a key player here. It's released when we experience pleasure, such as the joy of being with someone we care about, but when that person is gone, the brain continues to seek the reward, creating a craving for their presence. This is why memories of shared moments can feel so vivid. They are the brain's way of trying to re-experience the emotional high that person once provided. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, also plays a significant role. It's released during moments of closeness, like physical touch, deep conversations, or even shared laughter. This hormone strengthens the sense of connection, making the bond feel irreplaceable. When that bond is broken, the lack of oxytocin can lead to feelings of emptiness. The brain doesn't simply let go of these attachments. Instead, it creates a feedback loop where the absence of the person triggers memories, and those memories reignite the emotional response. This cycle keeps the longing alive, sometimes even intensifying it over time. The brain essentially struggles to reconcile the loss, amplifying the sense of yearning for what once was. But what's fascinating is that this process isn't just emotional, it's physical. Studies have shown that the brain regions activated by longing and heartbreak are the same areas associated with physical pain. This is why missing someone can feel so visceral, like an ache that can't be soothed. It's not just in your head, it's in your entire being. For a man, the science of longing explains why he can't simply move on or replace what's been lost. The bond he shared with you wasn't just a connection, it was a chemical, emotional, and psychological experience that left an imprint on his brain. When he discovers that the longing he feels is tied to something as deep and irreplaceable as the connection he had with you, it becomes a realization he cannot ignore. This is the power of human connection. It's not just a feeling, it's a part of who we are. And when it's gone, the brain reminds us over and over again of the value of what we've lost. Good evening, everyone. Have you ever wondered why some people leave such a deep mark on your heart that their absence feels like a void? Why is it that a man who may seem composed on the outside can find himself consumed by longing when someone is no longer there? The truth is, a man misses you like crazy when he discovers something profound, something he didn't fully grasp until it was gone. Let me take you through why this happens, not just emotionally, but biologically and spiritually. Science shows us that memories tied to strong emotions create lasting imprints in the brain. These moments aren't just fleeting experiences, they become a part of who we are. For a man, the way you made him feel, your laughter, your kindness, your ability to truly see him, becomes an emotional blueprint etched into his mind. And when you're no longer there, those memories replay, not just as thoughts, but as feelings. It's not just about what you did, it's about the energy you brought into his life, the way you made him feel alive and understood. But here's the paradox. We often don't recognize the value of someone's presence until it's replaced by their absence. When a man realizes the space you once filled, he begins to see what he had. It's not the grand gestures he misses, it's the quiet moments, the way your presence brought comfort, the way your energy made everything feel just a little more complete. Absence amplifies value, and in that emptiness, he discovers just how much you meant to him. What makes this even more powerful is the uniqueness of your connection. In a world full of superficial relationships, a deep, authentic bond is rare. When a man experiences that kind of connection, it changes him. It's not something he can replicate or replace. He begins to understand that what you shared wasn't just convenient, it was meaningful. It wasn't just about compatibility, it was about the way you touched his soul. And when that's gone, it's not just a loss, it's a void that no one else can fill. Reflection often brings clarity. In the quiet moments when he's left with his thoughts, he begins to confront the truth. He realizes the ways you supported him, the ways you inspired him, and the ways you made him feel like the best version of himself. Regret creeps in, not just for losing you, but for not fully appreciating you when he had the chance. And then there are the unmet needs. Relationships fulfill us in ways we don't always recognize until those needs go unmet. Maybe it was the way you believed in him, the way you brought out his confidence, or the way your presence gave him a sense of peace. When those needs are no longer fulfilled, the longing becomes undeniable. He doesn't just miss you, he misses the way you made him feel whole. Even science explains this longing. The brain, wired for connection, craves the chemical rewards of love and attachment. When those bonds are broken, the absence of dopamine and oxytocin creates a feeling of withdrawal. The brain doesn't simply let go. It clings to the memories, replaying them in an effort to re-experience the joy and connection that you've brought into his life. Longing isn't just emotional, it's physical. It's a biological response to the loss of something irreplaceable. So why does a man miss you like crazy? Because you weren't just a part of his life, you were a part of his identity. You brought something unique, something profound, something that touched him in ways he didn't even realize until it was gone. And when he discovers that, it's not just a memory, it's a realization that shakes him to his core. But here's the most important part. You are the irreplaceable element. The kind of connection that leaves someone longing for you isn't something you chase or beg for. It's something you embody. You are the source of that energy, that presence, that love. And whether or not he ever tells you, whether or not he ever comes back, know this: the impact you made is real, and it stays with him. So stand in your power. Be the person who creates those imprints, not by trying to be unforgettable, but by being authentic, compassionate, and true to yourself. Because when you do that, you're not just someone he misses, you're someone he'll never forget.